The alarm sirens echoed across the Hygiene Central Command Station, filling every corridor with a sharp, metallic warning tone. Officers rushed to their positions. Screens lit up. Systems activated. Admiral Kong stood at the center of the command bridge, watching the huge holographic display in front of him. It showed his powerful defense fleet, 7,000 warships, all in perfect formation ready for battle. He had never commanded such a large force before. Today he expected glory. "Status report," he said, his voice calm but firm. Commander Lee checked her console. Her fingers moved quickly across the screen. "Human vessels will exit hyperspace in 3 minutes, Admiral. All defense systems are ready." Admiral Kong nodded. Their intelligence had been very clear. The humans were coming with a massive fleet. Months of political tension, broken talks, and border fights had finally led to war. The Hygiene hegemony had intercepted a message. One that said the humans were sending their largest battle group ever. A fleet powerful enough to destroy a star system. To Admiral Kong this was perfect. If he defeated such a fleet, his name would be remembered for 1,000 years. 2 minutes to emergence, Commander Lee called out. Kong straightened his uniform. This moment would define him. Around him, the bridge grew tense and silent. Thousands of officers, across thousands of ships, waited for one single command. 1 minute. Every weapon system across the 7,000 ships powered up. Energy cores hummed. Shields rose. Missile bays opened. They were ready to crush the humans. Then, Commander Lee shouted. Emergence detected. A ripple formed in space, small at first, then widening. Admiral Kong leaned forward, expecting to see hundreds of human warships pouring out. But instead, a single ship appeared. Just one. The bridge went silent. Commander Lee blinked, thinking her sensors had malfunctioned. Admiral Kang's voice was sharp. "Where is the rest of their fleet?" Lee checked again. Then again. Her face turned pale. "Admiral, there is nothing else. Only one ship." Shock spread across the bridge. How could this be? The lone human ship moved slowly. It was small, much smaller than Hygiene heavy cruisers. Its hull was dark, absorbing light in strange patterns. It looked new, advanced, and dangerous. On its side was written, HSS Retribution. "We are receiving a transmission," Lee said. "Put it through," Kong ordered. The main screen flickered on. A human woman appeared. She wore a black uniform with silver pins. Her posture was straight and confident. "This is Captain Park of the HSS Retribution. I request immediate diplomatic parley with the Hygiene Council." The entire command bridge erupted with whispers. A single ship was asking for diplomacy. In front of 7,000 hostile warships? Kong raised his hand. Silence returned. "Is this a trick?" he asked his intelligence officer. Officer Sun quickly scanned the surrounding space. No hidden ships, Admiral. No cloaked signals. No unusual energy readings. There is only one human vessel here. Admiral Kong stared at the woman on the screen. Her face was calm. Too calm. No fear. No sign of weakness. This confused him even more. Humans were brave, but they were not foolish. They would never challenge the hegemony with one ship. "Put me through," Kong said. The officer nodded. Kong spoke directly to the screen. "Captain Park, this is Admiral Kong of the Hygiene Defense Force. Your request for parley is unexpected, but not unwelcome." Captain Park gave a small smile. "I hope you understand, Admiral. The matters we need to discuss are extremely important for both our peoples." Kong narrowed his eyes. "Where is the human fleet?" "Our intelligence reported a massive force heading here." Captain Park answered without hesitation. Her voice was calm. Almost too calm. "I am the human fleet, Admiral." The entire bridge froze. Did she just say she was the fleet? Some officers laughed nervously. Others stared at the screen in disbelief. Admiral Kong felt cold dread settle in his chest. This was wrong. Very wrong. Why would the humans send one ship? What did they know? What were they planning? Captain Park continued to speak, her voice steady. "I am here to offer one final chance for peace. Before things escalate." Kong felt something he rarely felt. Uncertainty. Was this confidence? Or a threat? Behind Captain Park, strange symbols glowed on the ship's walls. Hygiene scanners could not identify the technology. Whatever this ship was not normal. Admiral Kong realized something terrifying. The humans were not acting like a weaker enemy. They were acting like a superior one. And the single ship in front of him, the HSS Retribution, might be far more dangerous than 7,000 warships combined. The first spark of fear appeared in his eyes. The bridge of Hyjin Central Command was no longer loud. It was completely silent. Every officer stared at the image of Captain Park on the screen, trying to understand how she could stand there so calmly with 7,000 enemy warships aiming at her. Admiral Kong spoke first. "Captain Park," he said slowly, "you do not understand your situation. You are alone. You have no backup. You cannot negotiate from a position of strength." Captain Park didn't blink. "Admiral, I understand perfectly." Her calmness made the officers nervous. Something was wrong. Something didn't make sense. A strange reading. Commander Lee's console beeped suddenly. She frowned. Her scanners showed strange energy waves coming from the human ship. Not dangerous. Not aggressive. But old. Ancient even. "Admiral," Lee said softly, "the human ship is emitting a type of energy I have never seen." Kong turned toward her. "Explain." I can't. Our systems cannot classify it. It is not plasma, not fusion, not antimatter." She hesitated. "It looks like gravitational distortion." The entire bridge stiffened. If the humans could manipulate gravity at will, then they had reached a level of technology the Hyjin never dreamed of. Kong stared hard at Captain Park. "Captain, what powers your ship?" Park's smile widened slightly. "Something new, Admiral. Something humans developed recently. Something that we prefer not to share." Her voice was polite, yet each word felt like a warning. A message from the Council. An urgent tone sounded. A hologram appeared beside Kong, the Supreme Council of the Hyjin Hegemony. The Council Elder, Grand Minister Jurok, spoke with a stern expression. "Admiral Kong, delay the battle. Do not provoke the human ship." Kong blinked. "Minister, we outnumber them 7,000 to 1. Numbers may not matter," Jurok said. "Our scientists have just confirmed something disturbing. The humans have been silent for months. No ship activity. No broadcasts. No testing in space." Kong frowned. "Yes, we assumed they were preparing their fleet." Jurok nodded slowly. "But we checked again. They were not preparing a fleet. They were preparing something else. Something far more dangerous." Kong turned toward the screen where Captain Park waited. He felt the hair on the back of his neck rise. "What exactly did they build?" he asked. Minister Jurok's voice lowered. "We believe the humans have built a singular weapon. A weapon powered by something beyond our understanding." The minister's hologram faded. A cold silence filled the bridge. Captain Park's warning. Captain Park leaned forward slightly. "Admiral, I am giving you one last chance. Stand down your fleet. If you fire even a single shot, I will be forced to respond." Kong laughed nervously. "You? Alone? Against 7,000 ships?" Park tilted her head. "Yes. Against 7,000 ships." Kong felt something deep in his chest, fear mixed with anger. He turned off the audio and leaned close to his officers. "Is this bluff?" he whispered. Officer Sun swallowed hard. "Admiral, I don't think so. The ship is too strange. Too calm. And the energy readings." "Admiral," Commander Lee shouted. A new reading appeared on her screen. "The human ship is growing heavier." Kong stared. "What do you mean heavier?" Lee shook her head. "I mean the ship's mass is increasing. Rapidly. But the size is not changing. It is like the ship is pulling something toward itself. Or generating gravity from nothing." The officers exchanged fearful looks. Gravity generation was impossible. Even the oldest races in the galaxy couldn't do it. But humans who were considered young and weak, had done something unbelievable. The demonstration. Suddenly, Captain Park spoke again. "Admiral, I sense your doubt. So, I will show you something small. Something harmless." She raised her hand slightly. The lights on her ship glowed. The space around the Retribution bent. A Hyjin scout ship, positioned nearly 800 kilometers away, suddenly lurched forward, pulled as if by an invisible force. "What is happening?" Kong shouted. Commander Lee yelled, "Admiral, the human ship has locked the scout ship in a gravitational field." The scout ship shook violently as if caught in the grip of a black hole. Officers screamed into comms trying to free it. Captain Park watched calmly. "I'm not attacking, Admiral. This is only a demonstration. Your ship is perfectly safe." Kang's heart raced. This was a demonstration. What would a real attack look like? After a few seconds, Park released the scout ship. It drifted back, engines dead but hull intact. Kong felt his breath return slowly. What is your ship capable of?" he whispered. Park looked directly into his eyes. Enough to win a war alone. The choice. Kang realized the truth. The humans were not arrogant. They were not foolish. They were not suicidal. They had created something new. Something unstoppable. And Captain Park was offering them one chance to avoid destruction. Kang swallowed. Captain Park, what do you want? She answered softly. I want peace, Admiral. But if peace is denied, I will do what must be done. Her voice was calm. Her eyes were not. Behind her, the strange gravitational engines of the Retribution pulsed like the heartbeat of a sleeping beast. Kang understood. This single ship might have the power to destroy his entire fleet. And the next decision he made would determine the fate of two civilizations. The command bridge of the Hyjin Central Station felt heavier now. Every officer looked tense. Every light, every scanner, every heartbeat seemed louder. Admiral Kang stood silently, staring at Captain Park's calm face. A single human ship. Yet the fear it created was greater than any fleet. He took a long breath. Captain Park, he said, your display was impressive. But we cannot make decisions from fear. We are warriors. Park nodded slowly. I respect that. But understand, I did not come here to frighten you. I only came to prevent a war that neither of our people need. Her words were gentle. But the tension in the air only grew. Commander Lee whispered to the Admiral. Sir, if she can control gravity at that level, she could crush our ships without firing a shot. Kang did not answer. He knew the truth. One mistake would destroy everything. A dangerous suggestion. Officer Sun stepped forward. Admiral, the fleet is demanding orders. Several captains are asking permission to attack. They believe the human captain is bluffing. Kang's jaw tightened. 7,000 warships. Versus one human ship. Logic said this should be easy. But logic was useless today. He opened the fleet channel. Hundreds of ship commanders appeared in small holographic windows. Admiral, one captain said, why are we allowing the human to speak? She is stalling. Another shouted, we must strike now. One ship cannot stop us. Kang raised his hand. If you attack without orders, he said quietly, I will personally court-martial you. The room fell silent. Good, Kang said. Now observe. He turned the communication back on to Captain Park. Captain, I have officers who believe you are bluffing. What do you say to them? Park's answer was soft but sharp. Tell them to fire one missile. Just one. Then you will see. A chill swept through the bridge. She wasn't angry. She wasn't afraid. She was confident. Too confident. A captain breaks the rule. Suddenly an alarm went off. Commander Lee's eyes widened in horror. Admiral, the warship Iron Serpent has launched a missile. Kang snapped around. What? Who gave that order? Lee shook her head. No one, sir. Captain Darrow acted alone. Another officer shouted. The missile is locked onto the human ship. Time to impact, 12 seconds. Kang felt panic rise. Why would Darrow do this? Why now? On the screen, Captain Park watched quietly. Not alarmed. Not moving. Not defending. As if the missile meant nothing. Kang slammed a command into his console. Darrow? Abort your attack at once. But Darrow's voice came through, angry and full of pride. Admiral, with respect, this is a human bluff. I will end this myself. Kang's heart sank. Darrow, no. The missile streaked across space, burning bright. 10 seconds. 9. 8. Kang clenched his fists. If Park wanted war, this was the moment she would reveal her true weapon. He couldn't breathe. The missile disappears. At 3 seconds to impact, Captain Park lifted one hand. Just a small gesture. Suddenly, the missile froze in space. Stopped. Motionless. Not exploding. Not moving. Just frozen. Gasps filled the bridge. Impossible, Commander Lee whispered. She froze a missile in midair, using gravity. But what happened next shook them even more. The missile began to shrink. Not explode. Not burn. Shrink. As if invisible pressure was crushing it from all directions. In 2 seconds, it became the size of a fist. In 1 more second, it vanished entirely. No explosion. No debris. No signal left behind. It was simply gone. Captain Park lowered her hand. Her voice was calm. That was your warning. Retribution sends a message. Suddenly, the lights on the human ship brightened. The space around it warped again, like ripples forming on a dark lake. Then a pulse of energy spread out. Slow. Gentle. Silent. It passed over the entire Hyjin fleet. Commander Lee stared at her console. Admiral, what did it do? Every officer checked their screens. And then the horror appeared. Admiral, our weapons are offline. All photon batteries, disabled. Missile systems, jammed. Shields, collapsed. Our engines are stuck in low-power mode. Panic erupted. Admiral Kong felt cold sweat run down his neck. Captain Park spoke again, her voice still even. I have not harmed a single ship. But now you understand. If I wanted to, I could have destroyed your entire fleet in 1 second. She waited. The silence felt endless. Then she said, Now, Admiral Kong, let us talk about peace. The fleet's fear. 1,000 officers across 7,000 ships were shouting in confusion. Some were terrified. Some were angry. Some refused to believe what they saw. But they all felt the same thing. The humans possessed technology far beyond anything in the galaxy. Admiral Kong stared at the screen, breathing heavily. He realized something important. The humans were not showing power. They were showing restraint. If the Retribution wanted them dead, no one would be alive right now. Kong swallowed. This was no longer a battle. This was survival. He stepped forward. Captain Park, he said, his voice low and serious, I am ready to listen. Park nodded. Good. Because now, Admiral, you must hear the truth of why I came. She leaned closer. And what your spies never discovered. Kong felt his chest tighten. There was more? What could possibly be more dangerous than this? Captain Park took a slow breath. Admiral, the humans did not build just one ship. Kang's eyes widened. There are more. Park's expression hardened. Yes, but I am the weakest one. The bridge erupted in pure shock. Kong felt his world tilt. The weakest? This was the weakest ship. Then what nightmares had the humans truly created? The command bridge of the Hygiene station fell into complete silence after Captain Park's last words. I am the weakest one. Those 5 words struck Admiral Kong like a blade. If this ship, the one that stopped a missile, crushed it, and disabled 7,000 warships, was the weakest, then what were the stronger ones? His officers looked terrified. Even Commander Lee, who was always calm, looked pale. Admiral Kong cleared his dry throat. Captain Park, he said slowly, are you saying there are more human ships like yours? Park nodded. Yes, Admiral. But most of them are not here. They do not need to be. Her tone was gentle, yet every word felt like a shadow passing over the fleet. The ship with no history. Commander Lee urgently tapped her console. Admiral, I am reading something strange about the Retribution's hull. Kong turned. What is it? Our scanners show no manufacturing marks. No welding lines. No panel seams. It is like the ship wasn't built, but grown. Grown? Officer Sun shook his head. That's impossible. Ships don't grow. Metal does not grow. Park heard them. It is not metal in the way you understand, she said. Humans discovered something new. Something alive, and not alive. Her words sent a shiver through the command staff. Retribution is made from a material we created, Park continued. We call it gravium. Commander Lee whispered, Gravium? Like gravity? Exactly, Park said. It bends space. It strengthens itself. It repairs itself. And it feeds. Kong felt dread crawl across his skin. Feeds on what? He asked carefully. Park looked at him with calm, steady eyes. On energy. Any kind. If you fire at me, my ship grows stronger. The officers gasped. This changed everything. If the Hygiene fleet attacked with full power, they would only make the Retribution unstoppable. Kong understood now why Park came alone. One ship was enough. How the humans changed. Park continued. Humans were tired, Admiral. Tired of threats. Tired of being called weak. Tired of old empires treating us like children. Her voice softened. So we focused on something new. We explored deeper into the universe. We found something ancient. Kong leaned forward. Ancient? From another species. Park shook her head. No. Something older than life itself. Something that was part of the universe when stars were still forming. It changed our science. It changed our understanding of energy and matter. She paused. Humans call it zero-mass matter. Kong felt his mind spinning. What is zero-mass matter? He asked. Park explained calmly. It is matter that exists everywhere but cannot be seen. It has no weight, yet it can create infinite gravity when compressed. Humans found a way to control it, and to build with it. Commander Lee whispered. That means your ship can rewrite physical rules. Park nodded. Yes, and that is why I say again. I am the weakest ship in the new human fleet. Kang's realization. Admiral Kang felt something he hated. Admiration and fear mixed together. Humans had done what no empire ever achieved. Not the Virans. Not the Shulkor Dominion. Not the Firstborn Council. A young species had become something far more powerful than the ancient ones. Kang felt sweat on his forehead. What happened to the other ships? Kang asked. Park lowered her gaze slightly. They are not used for war. Humans do not want war. They patrol distant regions. They explore. They protect. I am the only ship assigned to a war front, and only for diplomacy. The entire Hyjin bridge froze. This terrifying ship was the diplomatic ship. What were the military ships like? A dangerous miscalculation. Suddenly warning alarms flashed. Commander Lee gasped. Admiral. 3 battleships from the western flank are powering weapons. Kang shouted, Who ordered that? It's Captain Darek, sir. He believes the human ship is vulnerable after the demonstration. Before Kang could order anything, Captain Darek's voice came over the fleet channel. Admiral, your fear weakens the hegemony. I will destroy this human threat myself. Kang slammed his fist on the console. Darek, stop. But the 3 battleships were already charging their photon cannons. Captain Park sighed softly. I did not want to do this. Her ship glowed. A small sphere of darkness, not black but absence, appeared in front of the Retribution. The officers stared. What is that? Lee whispered. Park answered. A micro-singularity. A controlled one. Kang's eyes widened. No, that's impossible. But it wasn't. The 3 Hyjin battleships fired. 3 massive photon blasts shot forward. They raced toward the human ship, and disappeared into the black sphere. The sphere grew a little bigger, then vanished, like nothing ever happened. Commander Lee stared in horror. It absorbed the shots. Park looked directly at Kang. And it is full now. Kang swallowed. What do you mean, full? Park answered with a cold, quiet tone. I mean if I release this stored energy, your entire fleet will vanish. The Hyjin command bridge went silent. Not one officer breathed. Not one dared to speak. The truth was now clear. If the humans wanted war, the war would end in 1 second. And 7,000 ships would burn. The truth humans hid. Park continued. Admiral, we did not want to reveal our technology. We wanted to avoid fear. Peace is easier when both sides feel safe. She looked directly into Kang's eyes. But your spies forced us to act. They pushed us. They made us build the impossible. And now, here we are. Kang slowly lowered his head. Captain Park, he said softly, what do you want from us? Park's voice softened again. Only this, Admiral. An agreement. A treaty. A promise that our 2 people will never again stand on the edge of war. She paused. Because if we fall into war, only humans will stand up again. Kang felt the weight of her words crush him. The Retribution wasn't here to fight. It was here to show the Hyjin the truth. Humanity had become unstoppable. And they were offering mercy. The darkness of space felt heavier than ever as the Arisian refugees moved deeper into the uncharted sector. Their ships, once symbols of their proud civilization, were now cracked, dim, and barely holding together. Every corridor echoed with fear. Every engine hum carried desperation. But even in this fear, one thing stayed clear in their minds. The humans had promised to help. And humans, according to ancient rumors, never broke a promise. Yet no one truly understood why a single human ship had come. It made no sense. No army. No fleet. Just one vessel that looked shockingly small compared to the Arisian cruisers. Some believed that the humans were hiding something. Others believed humans were simply arrogant. And a few whispered theories that humans were not as weak as they looked. But no one expected what happened next. The message. On board the Arisian flagship, High Scholar Verex watched the hologram of the human ship again and again. It bothered him. Commander, he said softly, there is something unusual about this design. Commander Zether didn't look up from the tactical screen. Unusual? It is tiny. That is what it is. No, Verex insisted. It is too clean. Too perfect. It looks like a weapon pretending to be a ship. Zether raised an eyebrow. A weapon? That small? Before Verex could answer, the human ship sent another message. A calm human voice echoed through the bridge speakers. Arisian Command, prepare your fleet. Enemy ships arriving in 3 minutes. Silence fell across the Arisian crew. Zether stared at the comm panel. How do you know this timing? Who are you? The human answered simply, "Captain Rowan of the UNS Resolute. And everything is under control." The Eryxians exchanged nervous glances. Under control? With a single ship? The enemy arrives. Exactly 3 minutes later, the space around them twisted. Dozens of Vorath warships tore out of hyperspace. Their black armor glowed with crimson streaks. Their cannons charged instantly, hungry to finish the Eryxians once and for all. Panic flooded the Arisian fleet. "We cannot fight this many," cried an officer. "Our shields are failing, again." Why didn't the humans send a fleet? Parents held their children. Soldiers accepted death. Even Commander Zether felt his hands shake. But Captain Rowan's voice came again. "Arisian fleet, fall behind me. Now." Zether blinked. "Fall behind you? Human, your ship is. Just do it." There was something in the human's tone, calm, commanding, almost terrifying. Without fully understanding why, Zether gave the order. "Arisian fleet, obey." Slowly, clumsily, the damaged Arisian ships aligned behind the tiny human vessel. Across the battlefield, the Vorath commander laughed. "A single human ship? They hide like insects behind it. Destroy them all." The first shot. A crimson Vorath beam fired toward the human ship. Direct hit. Every Arisian expected the human vessel to break apart. But instead, the beam bent. Not deflected. Not blocked. It curved around the human ship like light bending around a star. Gasps filled the Arisian bridges. What technology is this? Impossible. Even our strongest shields cannot do that." Captain Rowan's voice returned. "Stay calm. The Resolute is special." The awakening of Resolute. The human ship glowed with a soft blue aura. Panels shifted. Hidden weapons slid out from its hull, sleek, silent, deadly. Verax whispered, shocked, "Commander, that ship, it feels alive." Zether could only nod. The Resolute vibrated with an energy that made the space around it tremble. And then, everything changed. Captain Rowan spoke one final command. "Resolute, full release. Engage zero-limit protocol." The stars flickered. The human ship transformed, light folding around it like wings of pure energy. A low hum shook the battlefield. The Vorath ships suddenly stopped moving. Their scanners overloaded. Their shields collapsed. Their engines froze. It was as if the human ship had seized control of the entire space. The human counterattack. A beam of white energy flashed outward, silent, clean, surgical. It did not explode. It simply erased the Vorath ship it touched. Then another beam. And another. Every shot landed with perfect precision. Within 30 seconds, half the Vorath fleet vanished. Not destroyed. Not broken. Gone. Commander Zether stared with wide eyes. This power, how can one ship do this?" Verax answered quietly. "I think this is why humans never send armies. They don't need armies." The last words of the human captain. The remaining Vorath ships fled in terror, engines burning as they escaped the battlefield. Captain Rowan finally appeared on the Arisian screens, a calm man in a simple uniform. He smiled slightly. "Arisian people, you are safe now." Zether bowed his head. We owe you our lives." Rowan shook his head. "No, you owe us nothing. Humanity remembers its friends, even if you have forgotten us." The transmission ended. The silence remained. And the Eryxians finally understood. They expected an army. But humans never fight like anyone expects. The battlefield was finally quiet, but the silence felt heavier than war itself. The Arisian fleet floated behind the human ship like children hiding behind an older brother. Their damaged hulls flickered weakly, but their eyes, across dozens of bridges, remained locked on the strange, glowing human vessel. The UNS Resolute. A ship so small, yet powerful enough to force an entire Vorath fleet into retreat. But the Eryxians still knew almost nothing about it. Or the humans who commanded it. And now, as the glow around the Resolute faded, fear slowly crept back into their minds. If a single human ship held such terrifying power, what else were humans hiding? The calm after the storm. Inside the Arisian flagship, Commander Zether stood in the center of the bridge. The crew was still shaking. Some from shock. Others from excitement. All from confusion. "We survived," whispered one officer. "No, we were saved," another corrected. High Scholar Verax stepped forward, still studying the hologram of the Resolute. "There is something ancient about that ship," he muttered. "Ancient?" Zether repeated. "Yes. As if it carries technology we were never meant to understand." Before Zether could respond, a soft tone echoed. A new transmission. From the human ship. The entire bridge froze. The human warning. Captain Rowan appeared again, but his expression was different this time. Serious, almost tired. "Arisian Command," he said calmly, "we need to talk. Immediately." Zether bowed his head respectfully. "Captain Rowan, your help was beyond anything we imagined. Please tell us, how did your ship?" Rowan raised a hand. "Later. Right now we have a more urgent problem." The crew exchanged fearful glances. "More urgent than a Vorith fleet?" Rowan continued. "When we destroyed the Vorith ships, they managed to send a distress signal. A cold wave fell across the bridge." "How large?" Zether asked quietly. Rowan's answer made everyone's stomach drop. "They called their main battle group." Silence. "Thousands of Vorith warships. Enough to wipe out 10 civilizations in a single campaign. And they were coming here." Zether felt his throat tighten. "Human captain, we have no defenses left. We cannot run. We cannot fight. What should we?" Rowan's voice cut through his fear. "You're not alone anymore." Preparing for the second attack. The Resolute positioned itself in front of the Arisian fleet again. But this time, it didn't activate its strange energy wings. It didn't glow. It didn't hum with power. It just floated silently. Is it damaged?" a crew member asked nervously. Varric studied the readings. "No. It's resting." "Ships do not rest," Zether snapped. "This one might," Varric replied softly. The Eryxians didn't have long to wonder. Space distorted ahead of them. 1, 3, 5, 10. 20 Vorith warships jumped into the battlefield. Their size was monstrous. Their cannons flickered with blue flames. Their hulls carried the markings of the Vorith Execution Legion, the deadliest division in their empire. Zether's legs nearly gave out. "This is it," he whispered. But then, something strange happened. The Resolute didn't move, didn't power up, didn't activate its weapons. Instead, it opened a channel. To the Vorith. The human message to the enemy. Captain Rowan's voice echoed across space, heard by both fleets. "Vorith Commander. This area is now under human protection. Leave immediately." Shock rippled through the Arisian crews. "You're provoking them," a junior officer cried. "No," Varric said slowly. "He's testing them." The Vorith commander answered with a voice full of venom. "Human. Your tiny ship is no threat to the Vorith Empire. Prepare to be crushed." Rowan simply replied. "Then you still misunderstand what humans are. The unseen power." The Vorith ships fired everything: plasma lances, torpedoes, annihilation rays. A storm of destruction filled space. And yet, none of it reached the Resolute. Every beam, every missile, every shot stopped. Mid-space, frozen, motionless, as if time itself had paused. Arisian officers gasped. Is this a shield? No shield can do that." "Then what is it?" The Vorith panicked. Their scanners crashed. Their weapons jammed. Their engines shut down. Captain Rowan's voice returned. "Last warning." Still, the Vorith did not retreat. And so, Rowan whispered a final command. "Resolute, enforce order." The silent victory. The human ship released no light, no beam, no explosion. Instead, the Vorith ships simply fell apart. Silently, cleanly. As if every bolt, panel, and circuit had decided to detach at the same moment. Gigantic warships, disassembled into drifting pieces. No fire. No debris. Just quiet metal fragments floating away. The Eryxians stared in absolute shock. "Impossible," Varric breathed. "That wasn't a weapon. That was control." Zether whispered the only truth that made sense. "Humans command the laws of physics itself." The final realization. As the battlefield grew silent again, Captain Rowan appeared on their screen one last time. "You're safe now," he said. "But understand this, humanity will always answer its allies." Zether bowed deeply. "You saved an entire people with a single ship." Rowan shook his head. "Not a ship, a promise." The transmission ended. The Eryxians looked at the empty space where the Vorith fleet had once been. And they finally understood the truth. They expected an army. But humans never need one.